Well, let's get more analysis on this and cross over to Anastasiya Shapochkina. She's the president of the think tank Eastern Circles and a lecturer of geopolitics at Sciences Po University here in Paris. It's great to see you, Anastasiya. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. I want to first of all ask you about the timing of all of this. Zelensky says that the changes are needed before autumn, but his critics say that the Ukrainian leader is actually trying to consolidate his power. What do you think?
The reshuffling of the government has been expected for several months now, and the most emblematic figures, such as Dmytro Kuleba, their replacement or potential resignation is something that's been discussed for a very long time. And what I think is that this first is a continuity that we've seen already starting, I would say, last fall, with the exit of the commander Zaluzhny of the armed forces, and also the change of the Minister of Defense, followed by several important ministerial changes, and is including in the reconstruction area this summer, and also the dismissal of the agriculture minister. And now we see this next kind of stage of this row of changes in the ministries. I want to say that, of course, it looks, on the one hand, it sends questions about the timing, since now Ukraine is trying to counterattack and is holding territory inside Russia, which is truly changing the situation on the ground. And also it's very important moment, of course, before the presidential elections in the US. Is it the best moment? I said, this is not something which is a surprise. And second, we're not going to see the figures who have resigned disappear from the political landscape in Ukraine. Some of them are going to be promoted and are expected to be promoted, and some of them are expected to just change seats. For example, some of the people who in the list of ministers and also vice prime ministers, for example, responsible for European integration, are expected to take some of the ministerial positions, right? And then some of the people from the presidential office, like Rostislav Shurma, for example, are expected also to land maybe in ministerial positions. So we should not overestimate the drama of the change, and see first. They've promised that tomorrow, on the 5th of September, the people are going to be named who are going to replace the ministers who have resigned. We have to see first who they are. For Kuleba, we already know the name. It's going to be Sybiga, who is a very established Ukrainian diplomat, former ambassador to Turkey, and somebody who spent his whole life in the diplomatic corps. So we're not seeing somebody who is absolutely a novice to this task, neither who is dependent on Zelensky for his diplomatic career, which has started way before probably Zelensky finished university. And then also somebody who passed by the presidential administration, who's coming from the presidential administration to this position, so is therefore enjoying the support of the president. For the Ministry of Strategic Industries, of course, very key, because it's been charged with the renewal of the production, or military production. We don't expect Minister Commission to disappear from the political landscape of Ukraine either. And most likely tomorrow or in the coming days, we're going to hear of his new position, which is not necessarily going to be worse than the previous one.
Well, Anastasiya, before we talk about, who will be replacing some of the ministers that resigned today, I really want to focus on Kuleba just for a minute, because, he has been known for, being able to relate to others, being able to speak fluently in English with other ministers from around the world. The head of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Ukrainian parliament said he was one of the best foreign affairs ministers in Ukrainian history. Give us your assessment of that.
I think that indeed Dmytro Kuleba is not only the most prominent diplomat in the 33 years history of Ukraine's independence, but also one of the most prominent figures in world diplomacy today, considering how the accomplishments that were made in the last 3 years solely by the diplomatic corps of Ukraine. And indeed, all of the laudations are absolutely merited and deserved. It's a big loss for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but I want us not to put the cart before the horse and to wait for tomorrow to see where Kuleba is going to end up, because I don't think that he'll be sent to retirement. So far, what we've heard the president say, or the other sources say, is that possibly he's going to be put in a position where he'll be in charge of reinforcing the relationship between Ukraine and NATO, which is also a very important position. Hopefully that's going to be the case, or some other position. Hopefully he's not just going to be sent fishing. And in this case, if this is the case, we can only expect his diplomatic skill to keep serving the country, just in another quality.
And of course, Kuleba was really known for pushing allies on those red lines, on letting Ukraine use those foreign supplied weapons to strike inside Ukrainian territory. Can Kuleba's replacement, pick up from where he left off?
I think that the supplies, first of all, the Kuleba's replacement, as I said, is a very experienced Ukrainian diplomat, Sybiga. He has been in the office of the president in the last, for most of this year. And as such, he's been following everything that's been going on, because all of the key decisions, including on negotiations, are being kind of stemming from the office of the president often, and also the briefing of the office is rather regular and serious. So I don't think Sybiga is coming to the position not knowing where the negotiations are, not being a novice to any type of negotiations, and also ready definitely to take them from there. Is also, want to stress it, really somebody who spent his career in diplomacy, so not a novice to how this organism functions, right, the MFA. Now, the negotiations on the long range are either allowing Ukraine to strike further with Western weapons into Russian territory, which is absolutely crucial for the further advancement of the military progress. But also, negotiations on further weapons supplies is something also that's led along several frontiers, so to say, and not only by MFA. MFA plays a crucial role, but it's not the only one. And I think that also is something we have to keep in mind.
Anastasiya, thank you so much for joining us on the program. We really appreciate your insight there. That's Anastasiya Shapochkina, who's the president of the think tank Eastern Circles and a lecturer of geopolitics at Sciences Po University here in Paris. Let's move